Lazy Hiker Guide to the Death of Osama Bin Laden. After a $700 billion war, Osama Bin Laden had finally been killed by a $7 bullet. We will talk about the how, what, when, and why of the incident. How did they get him? Bin Laden used a human iPhone, aka human courier, which carried his communication. Like the real iPhone, the human iPhone also left a traceable track that eventually led the CIA into the hideout in Abbottabad. What happened? The US Special Force sent 3 helicopters from the base in Jalalabad, Afghanistan, crossed the border, and flew into the luxury complex in Abbottabad, Pakistan, where Osama Bin Laden has been hiding with 2 couriers, his wife, and a bunch of children. The US government had forgotten to inform the Pakistani government, who happened to own the country the operation was located. Bin Laden was shot with a bullet in his head. His body was buried into the Arabian Sea within 24 hours. When did it happen? The operation was carried out on May 1st, 2011 around 1 a.m. The news was later announced by President Obama on Sunday night. Why? Now that's the big question. Why use helicopter attack instead of smart bombs? The helicopter attack is much more complex and riskier than a guided missile or smart bomb attack. The purpose of the operation is not to kill Osama Bin Laden the person, but to kill Osama Bin Laden the symbol. What is a symbol? Steve Jobs is a symbol for iPhone, iPod, and iPad. When you think of an Apple product, the first person come to mind is Steve Jobs. But Steve did not design and assemble the iPhone or iPad. It's the people working under him doing most of the work. Only in the medieval time, the kings and princes will lead their soldiers to the battlefield in person. Modern society does not work this way. Modern leaders are symbols to a particular concept. Their function is more inspirational than operational. So what happens if Steve Jobs disappears? It does not affect the operation, but it surely affects the sales figure. In the same way, Steve Jobs is the symbol of trendy gadget. Gandhi is the symbol of goodness. Osama Bin Laden is the symbol of terrorism. Bin Laden didn't carry out the suicide attack himself. He was a coward, sickly man who liked to sleep with young women. Killing Osama the person will not affect the terrorism operation, but removing Osama the symbol is a symbolic victory to terrorism. Now we come back to the question, why helicopter attack instead of smart bomb attack? Because smart bomb attack cannot produce an identifiable body. Without a body, the symbol cannot be removed. Second question, why keep the Pakistani government in the dark? Are they not trustworthy enough? After all, Pakistan is a sovereign nation with nuclear power. This operation is like Mexico sending 3 military choppers to a suburb of Houston to arrest a drug lord without informing the US government. This would not be a minor incident. So why didn't the US government trust the Pakistani government? Well, trust is a complicated thing. Your mom might be the most trustworthy person to you, but if she sends you a suspicious email attachment and sworn to God it does not contain a virus, will you trust her? I won't. I will scan it with 10 different virus checkers and still discard the attachment at the end. Honesty and good intention does not equal to computer competency and is only part of the consideration for trustworthiness. All trust should be conditional. A respectable brain surgeon can be a complete idiot regarding to political issues. The question is not who to trust, but what to trust and when to trust also play an important role. Pakistan is an honest country by all means, but it does not make them trustworthy. Corruption is rampant, and their military is known to be infiltrated by radicals. They are like a good and honest friend with a computer full of virus. Better not share your secret with a friend like that. It is risky but wise for the Obama administration not to inform the Pakistani government. Still, President Obama credited Pakistan for their effort in fighting terrorism. This is a very clever diplomatic manipulation. It forced Pakistan to swallow the credit and avoid the backlash from violating their sovereignty. Third question: why did they kill Osama instead of arresting him, especially when he is unarmed? The answer is very simple. It would avoid potential hostile exchange embarrassment in the future. Say, if a terrorist hold up a school bus and asks to exchange Osama with all the children on the bus, what are you going to do? So killing Osama is the only option, despite the administration claim that arresting him was another option. Fourth question: why bury his body in the sea? The official answer is because no country were willing to accept the body, but that is not the main reason. Remember, the purpose of this mission is not to kill Osama the person, but to remove Osama the symbol. Even a dead body can become a symbol. Only by discarding the body, one can remove the symbol forever. Fifth question: why discard the body in 24 hours? Why not let the reporter take some photos? Why not wait longer for a more detailed DNA test? The official explanation is to consider the sensitivity of the Muslims, that all Muslims must be buried within 24 hours. That explanation sounds very suspicious. Since most Muslims have said Islam is a peaceful religion, and Osama Bin Laden is not one of them. So Osama to them is like an infidel. Whatever you do to an infidel's body is totally irrelevant to them. I think the main reason is to avoid complication and legal issues. How complex can it get? For example, what if one of his wives asks for custody of his body? What if the Pakistani government asks for his body for evidence? What if a terrorist hold up a school bus asking to exchange the children with his dead body? So by quickly dumping the body in 24 hours, you can avoid all those scenarios. The final and last question: why did Osama become a terrorist? The answer is simple and obvious, but whoever tried to explain it, they always miss the point. Say a driver caused a very serious car accident. It would not be fair to blame the fault of one driver on every driver in the world. But you would also be silly to deny that car accident was not a car accident. Maybe it was not the fault of the car that caused the accident, but could there not be some improvement on the car that could help the driver from avoiding accidents? After all, the safety standards of a car have been evolving year after year. Airbags, safety belts, traction controls, ABS, all to avoid the fallibility of human beings. By avoiding the true question, and by avoiding the evolution of modern society, the problem is only to get worse and not better. That is something to think about.